Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another segment of The Democratic View. I'm the hostess. My name is Phyllis Italiano, and today I am here with a charming young member of the Democratic Committee, and her name is Alyssa Myers. Welcome, Alyssa.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So, what I first want to talk about is you. I want to know where you were born and raised and schooled.
I grew up in Dix Hills on Long Island. I went to the Knox School and rode for high school. And then I went to Hofstra, or I went to Suffolk Community College and then to Hofstra. And then moved to Texas and lived in Texas for 7 years. And my husband and I moved back here about 13 years ago, and we've lived in East Hampton ever since.
Why were you living in Texas?
After I graduated college, I had gotten a job in sports management, which is what I wanted to do, or thought I wanted to do it, and found out I really didn't like sitting in an office, and I wanted to be out, and began teaching riding because I had ridden horses my whole life, and met my husband when one of my horses got sick. He was teaching veterinary medicine at the time,
And he is a local veterinarian.
he is a local veterinarian now, just large animals. We do horses and the occasional llama or pig or goat.
Or lion.
He actually worked in Dubai for the Sheikh and has worked on lions and camels and interesting kinds of animals like that. And when we decided to get married and be together permanently, we wanted to be back on Long Island. And the East End was the only place that we both really felt at home.
I can't imagine why. And you became sort of involved in the happenings and the ramifications of East Hampton politics. How?
I had owned my own horse farm out here for several years, and about 7 years ago, I was involved in an automobile accident.
That's right.
And it kind of changes things. I have a little bit of a neck problem now, so riding full-time was completely out, and I slowly, as I got better from the surgery, became more and more active in the community. Starting slow, I did a little bit of voter registration, and I did volunteer at LVIS, and then became more and more active with the Democratic Committee, the Storm Committee, the AntiBias Task Force. These things that I thought were very worthwhile for the residents out here.
Yeah, that's the way I started too. I became, slowly taking like baby steps into getting involved in what was going on in the town, mostly because I wanted to keep this town the way it is.
Yes.
That's my big thing. I'm holding back Nassau County. And so what you brought with you today is something very, very, very interesting that I'm quite proud of.
Yes.
It's a complete, lovely little handout from the town of East Hampton's AntiBias Task Force.
Yes.
Amazing.
It's hot off the press.
It's
Just
beautiful
finished.
as well. So tell me, you're on this committee, and where did this committee come from?
It had been around several years ago, and it kind of waned a little bit, and Councilwoman Overby has brought it back stronger than ever. It is an amazing group of people, all different kinds of people from different ages and different parts of town, and with different main focuses, and we bring it all together in a room once a month, and we are going forward, and we're going forward real quick and strong. We were able to get this done in about 3 months, And it's wonderful. It really is wonderful to start educating the children and the adults of East Hampton on if something's not right, where to go, what you can do, who you can speak to about it.
Yes, we all know, or maybe we don't know, but there were several instances in our town that were very shocking. And unfortunately, people paid for these incidents with their lives. They were bullying incidents, and we know that one young man, David Hernandez, committed suicide as a result of bullying. And so I know that was one of the impetuses for Sylvia to reorganize this committee and spearhead. And I have seen the Reverend Katrina Foster, who is also on the committee, doing some talking about the group and what they do. So you meet once a month?
We meet once a month. Our main focus as of last year was to get the brochure out. This was our main thing, but now we're going to move into distribution, we're going to move into education, and we have a hotline going, so that's up and running, and we have a email address so that if someone, especially a younger person in the community, they're not going to be so quick to pick up a telephone and talk to someone, but they might be quicker to shoot an email out and ask a question that way, a little more anonymous. You know, the younger kids today, everyone's using high-speed technology, and we needed to be able to make it younger, younger generation friendly. So that's our new thing right now that we're working on, which I'm very excited about.
That's a very good point, and that was very wise of you people to do that kind of thing, because we all know that they are very technology-oriented group of people. I always say I wish I was 13 again, so that I could be as good as they are and everything. But your mission statement says that you are promoting education and raising community awareness of legal and legislative efforts to eliminate all forms of bias and prejudice. That's a hell of a tall order.
The mission statement is for East Hampton Town is also in conjunction with the Suffolk County, which their AntiBias task force now, we go and there's a meeting there once a month as well. And all the different towns of Suffolk County are meeting together so we can work as a whole community. And I think that's very important that Southampton Town, East Hampton, North Fork towns, they all have the same message so that it's not shop around, it's this way. On the back is a great list of resources. So people can also help themselves as well if they don't want to, or they're a little fearful of who's going to pick up the phone or answer an email. They can call all these different wonderful organizations that can help them.
Mike, can you get a little shot of these list of the different groups that are available to people? And where will these brochures be so that people can get them as well?
We're going to be getting them out to the churches and synagogues, hopefully the libraries of the community, the town hall will have them,
Library's a good place.
and Village Hall as well. As far as other places, right now it hasn't been decided, so I don't want to say it's going to be somewhere and someone's looking for it and it's not there yet, but I can update you as we keep working on it.
Okay, so you're going also to go into the schools with this message.
Yes, we want to speak with the PTAs and the PTOs and talk to the parents and explain to the parents, because the kids are getting a lot of this message in school, but the parents aren't. So even though the children will see it or hear about it in school, they go home and they hear something totally different. And educating the adults is just as important as educating the kids.
I couldn't agree with you more. How did you get so interested in this particular focus?
It's almost 3 years ago, there was an incident at the high school. And it was very disturbing to me that some form of anti-Semitism happened so close to home. And when I went to a school board meeting, they kind of dismissed it. And I spoke to the Anti-Defamation League along with other members of the community. And what the Anti-Defamation League said to me was that the school wasn't interested in help. And that bothered me. It really did. I spoke to several other community leaders, and everyone kind of brushed it off a little bit. And it wasn't until Councilwoman Overby began this again, it perked my interest immediately, because we can't let any form of bias be happening in our community. I mean,
Do you want to tell us what the incident was? I remember it.
Yes,
It was in the newspaper, so
yes,
it's
it
not
was in the
something-
newspaper, and then it disappeared just as quickly, though. There was a swastika found on a photo, or a photocopy, in one of the locker rooms in the high school, and it bothered me tremendously. And it bothered me, I think, even more that community leaders didn't take notice of it. I think if the adults don't take notice, then how are we going to educate our children that that's not right? So it became, as soon as I heard about it, I jumped on this. This was exciting. That room is amazing. You should come sit in.
I will.
Okay.
I will. Let me know when it is, because I am interested in this subject very much, because as you were sitting outside when we were filming the East End Veterans show, which we were talking about Auschwitz, and I always go back to the defining moment of my life. I've said this at least half a dozen times on this show and the other show. I was about 5 or 6 at the end of World War II, and I used to go to the movies every Sunday with my sisters, and whenever Frankenstein came up, I always went under the seat. I was afraid of Frankenstein. And yet, there was the newsreel, Movie Tone News, which had the opening of camps of, I think it was Bergen-Belsen. And there were these people, men, in tatters, walking towards the camera, who were skeletons with skin on them. And I always say it was the defining moment of my life. That's what always was the thing that made me want to fight for the good fight, to help in people to understand and be more, well, I never could understand the Nazis anyway. I mean, it was like a conundrum. It still is a conundrum to me. But it's very important. And also, some of these things, like on the bias-free community, are also about acceptance of our gay and lesbian and transgender people in our community, so that they can live in peace as well.
Well, also there's ageism, there's racism. I mean, it's not just one or two things. It covers a lot of different topics. And it's important to remember that it can creep into any community, and we have to be prepared.
And we have to combat it wherever we see
Yes.
it. And as I was telling you before, I'm on the committee for the Democrats that Naomi Soltz and I work on the Cathy Lester Scholarship. It's not a very big scholarship. It's in the high school, and it's $750, which will buy you lattes and books for a semester. And but we have to come up with a topic each year. And this year, I must say it's Naomi's, not my topic. She submits them to me, and I choose the one I think is the best. And the topic is, for this year, why do teens bully? And what do you do if you see it happening? I think that's terrific topic.
I think it's great.
Yeah, I mean, that people begin to realize, children particularly, teenagers in particular, because teenagers can be pretty cruel. I'm a victim of, I'm not a victim, I'm a survivor of school systems, and I know how particularly in the older, how they can be rather rough with their fellows. And I'm hoping that this will raise a little awareness and that people will respond to it. We have to check on that and see how many responses we're going to get on that.
I mean, the bullying goes on in the high school, but it also goes on in the middle school and, oddly enough, the elementary schools. And you'd be surprised out here what I've heard from friends who have children in the elementary schools out here, and that it starts young, and it's starting younger and younger each year. And some of my girlfriends, their little kids are coming home saying things that she never would have thought out of mouths of 4, 5, and 6-year-olds.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, that wasn't so prevalent in the elementary schools. Elementary was where I worked. And I worked in elementary mainly because I didn't want to face, middle school and high school. My daughter works in middle school, but I never wanted to be there. I wanted to be with the young and innocent. But I guess the young and innocent aren't as innocent anymore.
Well, the elementary schools also aren't required to really hold statistics on what's going on out here, which I find very fascinating. And I hope that we can try to change that a little bit. I think that's very important. High school, it's immediately addressed. It's dealt with differently in the elementary schools.
Well, I know there was a fight recently in the park right across from Herrick Park, right across from the middle school.
Yes.
And really quite a big brouhaha. And it was, I don't know what it was about. I don't know if they knew what it was about. Kids are like that sometimes. And I also wanted to congratulate you on this and your committee on this, and I hope that we will see some really terrific good that comes out of this. And I wanted to speak a little bit also about one of your other interests, which of course is almost along the same lines, really. I mean, it's about humanity and humanity's relationship with animals. I know you were very active in trying to help the deer cull to be stopped.
Yes, but for maybe a little bit different reason. When you have an ecosystem and you remove one component or you change one component, you have to change several. You can't just change one, because what will happen is other things adapt, and because of that, if you remove deer, not knowing what the whole population is, because there is no consensus on an actual number.
I know.
And you randomly choose numbers for whatever reasons, and you arbitrarily decide, okay, we're going to take this amount of deer from this amount of place and blah, 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 without looking at the whole picture. It upsets the apple cart. And that's what worries me. What worries me is that we've seen a 400% increase in anaplasmosis. It's not just about Lyme disease, but there's the alpha-gal, which is you're seeing more and more people get this horrible allergic reaction to red meat. Ehrlichia, anaplasmosis, babesia. I mean, all these diseases are increasing exponentially without anyone really coming in and looking at the whole picture. They think it might be this, it could be this, but there hasn't been anyone to come in from either the town, the county, the state, or the federal level, and we need help out here. We're sick. There are a lot of sick people out here. East Hampton's the #1 town for the county, #2 for the state, and in the top 5 for the country. And this is not this is something that we can't sit back on. This is our health. And if we're not healthy, no one's going to be out here. And people aren't going to want to come to a place where they know they can eventually get sick. Do I believe in hunting? Yes, I do. I have no problem with the hunters, and I think it should be kept local like that. Yeah. But I think that it has to be a multi-pronged approach if you're going to deal with the deer. It cannot be just, oh, let's randomly take this. We need actual statistics, we need actual numbers, and we need actual experts to come into our town and help us, because we're in need of help.
Have you ever heard of Dominic?
Yes, I have.
Dominic, we did that in Fire Island. In my community, in all the communities, it was the Fire Island Beach Association for all of the towns, the developed towns, drew up this plan of Dominics, and you would buy a certain amount for your property.
Yes.
And put it on your property, and the little white-footed mouse, who is the primary
Yes.
host of the
Borrelia burgdorferi,
yes.
which is Lyme disease.
And it would take this piece of cotton that's in this tube, bring it back to its nest, and when it was in its nest, it would kill off the little ticks. So that was very successful.
Yes.
Very successful. Yes. We had very little of that after a while. And as a matter of fact, I actually was at Fire Island last summer and was amazed at the amount of vegetation that they have now, which indicates that the deer population is also not what it used to be. Cool. And because they also went into the program of sterilizing the deer. My daughter was a part of that. She lived out there 1 year and was a part of working with inoculating, I believe, with hormones.
There's a lot of different ways. Yes. The Village Preservation Society has suggested doing a surgical sterilization. They had a company
that was done
called
successfully in
Cayuga
town.
Falls.
Yes.
Yes, but it's an experiment. They've only done it a couple of times in a couple of different places. Something like the Dominic's tick tube that's been around for a long time and is a proven component
since
in
the 80s.
Reducing the tick-borne disease population and ticks in general. The 4 poster feeders, which have had multiple studies done and shown success just in reducing ticks, and or if you do use a progesterone feed for it, can reduce the deer population as well. But it's a multi-pronged approach.
Yes, yes.
It's a multi-pronged approach. It
yes.
has to be that way.
Yes.
What I get most concerned about as horse people is that if they reduce the deer, the next largest animal out here are the horses. And since we're already seeing a larger increase in tick-borne disease in these animals, what's to come? Yeah. Everyone needs to be aware of it.
I will say this, and you may not agree with me on this, but I will say that this winter, with this enormous below freezing temperatures for such a long period of time, I believe we'll have, including the layers of snow, and it's not even snow, it's ice. It's ice in my backyard, I can tell you that.
Yes.
I mean, I can't believe what my backyard is like. I mean, I still have ice on twigs all around on the trees because I have preserve around me. And I am telling you, I know that has got to have some effect upon the deer, not the deer population, because it's probably killing the deer too with starvation. But it also is killing the ticks. I would bet
there has been study done both out of Wisconsin and Michigan. The studies we're looking at closer right now are out of Mississippi and Texas. Texas having the largest deer population out of all the states, and Mississippi having the largest concentration of deer. And they have some of the lowest estimates of any tick-borne disease. Now, these are places that don't get cold enough for any kind of freeze, But what they don't have a huge population of is the white-footed mouse and the rodents. And it changes the components.
Surely can't go around shooting them, do we?
Well, you know,
have you ever seen them?
have
I've
you
seen them.
Well, I
on
had
Fire Island.
chipmunks in my backyard that ate my entire garden last year. They left me the stalks of everything, including the jalapeno peppers.
You need to have Biggie, my cat, in your backyard.
Well, that's another thing they did out here a while ago is they started reducing the feral cats. That plus adding the mange that killed off a whole lot of the red fox has also led to an explosion in the rodent populations out here, which also contribute to the ticks. So it is a whole cycle.
Well, I will tell you, my daughter was a part of the feral cat thing. And what they did was not
No.
get rid of them. They would trap them, they would spay them, and they would inoculate them. And by the way, I inherited one because he had FIV AIDS, which is an ancient disease among cats. And I had to have that cat. I had two different ones that my daughter bequested to me. And they are, do keep the rodent population down.
Absolutely. And I applaud everybody who worked on the Feral Cat Project. I think it was a very, very good thing. But look what happens.
Yeah, the drawback.
Yeah.
You're right. Well, thank you very much for coming. And your show, this show on here, will be on YouTube as soon as I get it. And then please check our website. It's the ehdems.com. And down on the bottom part, you can see all of our past shows. It says press here and YouTube, as soon as I get them up. Thank you very much, Alyssa.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it was great. You did good.
You sure?
Positive. Positive, only you were shaking your foot.